So Beatrice and Benedict are chatting near the dance floor, and Beatrice says, "Will you not tell me who told you so?" And Benedict, who is disguised at the moment, says, "No, you shall pardon me." And Beatrice says, "Nor will you tell me who you are." And Benedict is like, "Not now." And that was that last little bit at the bottom of the page. So then Beatrice is like, "That I was disdainful, that I had my good wit out of the hundred merry tales." Well, this was Senior Benedict that said so. And Benedict says, "What's he?" And Beatrice is like, "Oh, I'm sure you know him well enough." And Benedict is still pretending not to be himself and says, "Not I, believe me." And Beatrice asks, "I pray you, did he never..." Sorry. Wow, okay, I skipped a line by accident. Beatrice says, "What, did he never make you laugh?" And Benedict is like, "I pray you, what is he?" And Beatrice is like, "Why, he is the prince's jester. A very dull fool. Only his gift is in devising impossible slanders. None but libertines delight in him." And the commendation is not in his wit, but in his villainy. For he both pleases men and angers them. And they laugh at him and beat him. I'm sure he's in the fleet. Would he had boarded me. When I know the gentleman, oh sorry, that's Benedict talking now. When I know the gentleman, I'll tell him what you say. And Beatrice is like, do. He'll but break a comparison or two on me, which peradventure not marked, or not laughed at, strikes him into melancholy, and then there is a partridge wing saved, for the fool will eat no supper that night. We must, then she references the dancing, saying, "We must follow the leaders." And Benedict is like, "In every good thing." And Beatrice is like, "Well, nay, if they lead to any will, I will leave them at the next turning." And I guess that's kind of foreshadowing, because Don John and Braccio, who are the bad guys of this play, are the people that come on next. And they say everyone else is pretty much left except for John, Braccio, and Claudio. So John says to Braccio, off to the side, "Sure my brother is amorous on Hero, and he hath withdrawn her father to break with him about it. The ladies follow her, and but one visor remains." And Braccio's like, "And that is Claudio. I know him by his bearing." So then John is like, he's obviously already knows that it's Claudio, but he's going to pretend to say that it's Benedict. So John says, "Are you not Senior Benedict?" And Claudio's like, "You know me well, I am he." And John's like, "Signor, you are very near my brother, and in his love he is enamored on Hero. I pray you dissuade him from her. She is not his equal." Okay. "I pray you dissuade him from her. She is no equal." for his birth. You may do the part of an honest man in it. How know you he loves her? Asks Claudio. And John says, I heard him swear his affection. So did I too, said Braccio. And he swore he would marry her tonight. So, John says, come, let us to the banquet. So Braccio and John leave, and Claudio's still there, processing, and saying, thus answer I in the name of Benedict, but hear these ill news with the ears of Claudio. 'Tis certain so, the prince woos for himself. Friendship is constant in all other things, save in the office and affairs of love. Therefore all hearts in love use their own tongues, and let every eye negotiate for itself, and trust no agent. This is an accident of hourly proof, which I mistrusted not. Farewell, therefore, hero. Farewell, therefore, hero. And then Benedict, the real Benedict, stands up, or enters, rather, and says, Count Claudio. And Claudio's like, yea, the same. Come, will you go with me? Asks Benedict. And Claudio's like, whither? And Benedict's like, even to the next willow about your own business. Country. What fashion will you wear? What fashion will you wear the garland of? For the prince hath got your hero. And Claudio's like, I wish him joy of her. And Benedict's like, why, that's spoken like an honest drover. So they sell the bullocks, but did you think the prince would have served you thus? And Claudio's like, I pray you leave me. And Benedict's like, whoa, now you strike like a blind man. 'Twas the boy that stole your meat, and you beat the post. And Claudio's like, it will not be, I'll leave you. And then Benedict's like, alas, poor fool, now he will creep into the sedges, but that my lady Beatrice should know me. Creep into the sedges. Okay, different sentence, now that he's left alone. But that my Lady Beatrice should know me, and not know me. The prince is fool. It may be I go under the title because I am merry. Yea, but so am I apt to do myself wrong. I am not so reputed. It is the base, though bitter, disposition of Beatrice that puts the world into her person and gives me out. Well, I'll be revenged as I may. And then Don Pedro enters and says, now, Signor, where's the Count? Did you see him? And Benedict's like, troth, my lord, I have played the part of Lady Fame. I found him here as melancholy as a lodge in a warren. I told him, and I think I told him true, that your grace hath got the good will of this young lady, and I offered him my company to a willow tree, either to make him a garland as being forsaken, or to bind him up a rod as being worthy to be whipped. And Don Pedro's confused. To be whipped, what's his fault? And Benedict's like, the flat transgression of a schoolboy being overjoyed with finding a bird's nest, shows his companion and he steals it. And wilt thou make a trust Will thou make trust a transgression? The transgression is in the stealer. Yet it had not been amiss, the rod had been made. Yet it not had been amiss that the rod had been made, and the garland too. For the garland he might have worn himself, and the rod he might bestowed on... Oh! Everything went wrong for a second. Let's try this again. And getting back into it, Benedict was saying, yet it had not been amiss the rod had been made, and the garland too. For the garland he might have worn himself, and the rod he might have bestowed on you, who as I take it, have stolen his bird's nest. And now Don Pedro fully understands why there's a bit of a problem going on here. And Pedro's like, Don Pedro's like, I will but teach them to sing and restore them to their owner. But if their singing answer your saying, by my faith you say honestly, is what Benedict says. So Benedict and Pedro have sorted out in that conversation that Don Pedro did not steal Hero for himself. Just thought I'd clarify that in case, anyone's not fluent in Shakespeare kind of thing. Anyway. So Don Pedro changes the subject and says, the Lady Beatrice hath a quarrel with you. The gentleman that danced with her told her she is much wronged by you. Benedict loses his temper and says, oh, she misused me past the endurance of a block. An oak, but with one green leaf on it, would have answered her. My very visor began to assume life and scold with her. She told me, not thinking that I had been myself, that I was the prince's jester, that I was duller than a great thaw. Huddling jest upon jest with such impossible conveyance upon me that I stood like a man at a mark with a whole army shooting at me. She speaks poniards and every word stabs. And if her breath were as terrible as her terminations, there would be no living near her. She would infect to the North Star. Page turning. Wow, everything kind of... I would not marry her, though she were endowed with I would not marry her, though she were endowed with all that Adam left him before he transgressed. She would have made Hercules have turned spit. Yea, and have cleft his club to make the fire too. Talk not of her. I would to God some scholar would conjure her, for certainly while she is here, a man may live as a quiet in hell as in a sanctuary, and people sin upon purpose, because they would go thither. So indeed, all disquiet, horror, and perturbation follows her. Oh, Benedict. He's a funny one. after he's like completely ripping her to shreds, Don Pedro calmly listens to it and is like, "Look, here she comes." Oh. And Benedict's like, "Oh, man." So he's like, "Will your grace command me to a service to the world's end?" It's like, "Get me out of here. I will go on the slightest errand now to the Antipodes that you can devise to send me on. I will fetch you a toothpicker now from the furthest inch of Asia, bring you a length of Presser John's foot, rather than hold 3 words conference with this harpy. You have no employment for me?" And Don Pedro's like, "None but to desire your good company." And Benedict's like, "Oh God, sir, here's a dish I love not. I cannot endure my lady tongue." And so then Benedict kind of just storms off, and Pedro is like, "Come, lady, you come, lady, come. You have lost the heart of Signor Benedict." And Beatrice is like, "Indeed, my lord, he lent it me a while, and I gave him use for it. A double heart for a single one. Marry, once before he won it of me with false dice. Therefore your grace may say I have lost it." And Don Pedro's like, "You have put him down, lady, you have put him down." And Beatrice is like, So I would not he should do me, my lord, lest I should prove the mother of all fools. I have brought Count Claudio, whom you sent me to seek." And I think I'm going to save the interaction with Count Claudio for the next episode. Thanks for watching, everyone.